I'm Mina Malik Hussain and you're watching The Coffee Table. 2020 has been a very challenging year for most of us, humans that is, but for one very special elephant, 2020 might be the year that changes his life. Today I'm so excited to be talking about Kavan the elephant on the show, and to that end it is my great honor and privilege to welcome two extremely experienced and knowledgeable and fantastic experts on the show. So we are welcoming back our great favorite, Dr. Uzma Khan, who is an international zoo expert with the World Wildlife Fund, Pakistan, and Dr. Amir Khalil. And I know that if you know about Kavan, you know about Dr. Khalil, but I will still introduce him. He is the wonderful, daring, intrepid vet who is the director of project development at Paws, which is an Austrian animal welfare organization, and he is an expert in animal rescue operations in war zones. So, hello and welcome to the show, Doctors Khan and Khalil.
Thank you, thank you.
I'm so excited. Today is very exciting. As you can see, I'm just brimming over now. So, sort of we start at the very beginning, Dr. Khan, with Kavan. The Marghazar Zoo in Islamabad has been around for a long time and has had an array of animals and, so on and so forth. But Kavan went viral around 2016, I want to say, because photos of him in his enclosure, went on the internet, and it garnered a lot of attention, and, finally it's culminated in, him being now trained and rehabilitated, and he's now on, he's begun his journey to sort of go back into the wild. So let's talk about elephants in Pakistan, basically, because I know that we had an elephant at the Lahore Zoo, and there was, of course, Kavan, and I don't know about other elephants in the country.
Okay.
I just thrown a lot of information at you, and I'm like, okay.
So the thing is that we have had a lot of elephants, but a lot means usually singly housed elephants.
Okay.
So Pakistan has this history of keeping single elephants in zoos. And they have all died at a much younger age, which is not the age that an elephant would live up to in the wild.
So and usually how long do elephants live in the wild?
They can live up to like 65, 70. So their lifespan is more like human lifestyle. They mature at the same age, and then they, the same sort of cycle. Now, we had Susie in Lahore Zoo, Susie passed. So, when this whole social media campaign was going on to free Kavan, I was just thinking all the time, we also have Susie, and I remember writing articles about Susie, please do something about her.
And Susie is your great friend.
Yeah, because, being in Lahore, I used to have a lot of interaction with her.
Yes.
And then around
and she recognizes you as well.
Yes, she used to recognize me, she used to pat her trunk on me and would smell me, so yeah, we had that friendship, and I was devastated when, she passed away. And then we know that Kavan was not alone. He used to be with Saheli, and she passed away. And then back, I think it was 2006, Anarkali used to be an elephant in Karachi Zoo. She passed away. There was an elephant that crossed border from India and came to Jallo Park.
I love that. Just walked across.
It's quite interesting. So he was kept in Jallo Park, but he was trying to go back to India.
My goodness.
And then he was put in Bahawalpur Zoo. So he remained in Bahawalpur Zoo, and then he passed away as well.
So why is it? It seems like there's a pattern of elephants being alone, and then that leading to a faster demise for them. Why is that?
Yes, because they are very demanding, both in terms of their physical space. They are very intelligent, so they need a lot of stimulation. They are social animals. They need a lot of social, just like us. So I think we are not chimpanzees. I relate to elephants more than I would relate to a chimp.
Really?
Yeah. So they are just like us, and so they The only differences, I would say, is that they have their matriarchal groups. So they have their female groups led by females. I wish it was.
I know. Now I really wish that we were more like elephants.
Yes. So bulls, they leave their groups early on, then they sometimes form their own bachelor groups. So that's how they are.
like
so in
that.
zoos, they try to introduce them on and off, and that's how it goes. But in somehow Pakistan, and we don't have those resources, we have that traditional thinking of mahouts, training them and using anchors and pinching them and poking them to train them and to control them.
Yeah.
But overall, globally, there is a consensus that we should not have elephants in zoos because we can't meet their psychological requirements, we can't meet their social requirements. They are very complex.
Quite
so
right.
there is a consensus, and I quote it all the time, that if you go to Edinburgh Zoo, they have a statue of elephant, and it says, we don't keep elephants. This is the only elephant we have in the zoo because we can't meet the requirements. And I think we need to admit it, that zoos are not meant for elephants. And I always say that we need to have a more strategic decision. That, okay, Kavan is one case, but then there are 4 elephants in Karachi.
Quite right. And I want to kind of cycle back to those little ones. Well, not so little in a minute. But hello, Dr. Khalil, can you hear me?
Yes, definitely. I hear you.
Excellent. Thank you so much for taking out the time to join us today. I'm a big fan. You are an international animal hero. And you've been...
I am so big. No, it's a teamwork. Thank you for your introduction. But I do only small part of the teamwork.
No, but your team is just doing such important and daring adventures and such important and valuable work all across the world. And I think that we are delighted to have 4 Paws in Pakistan helping out with Kavan. So tell us a little bit about how you came to meet Kavan.
So at first, I visit your beautiful country, first time 2010, during the floods, the big flood, and we were able to assist with the stakeholder and the local support here, over 37,000 farm animal. The second visit, I visited Kavan. It was 2016, where we were asked to make assessment about the zoo in Islamabad, and especially about Kavan. I was impressed about Kavan. At first, he was really a huge elephant for me, giant. He was very stubborn. He have stereotype or type behavior. It's like mental disturbance going up and down. He was chained 24/7. It was really sad to see him in this condition. But more than this, he was also, I will say, aggressive. He really was at a distance to human being. He was not happy about his situation.
Right.
No enrichment. This was the first time I met Kavan in 2016. We make some recommendation to improve the condition at this time at the zoo, as well as especially for Kavan because of his safety and safety of the visitor. Lately, I came this year after the sad incident of the relocation of the lion, and the situation was not better for Kavan. He was really more overweight. He's over nearly 5.5 tons. It's mean 5,500 kilogram nearly.
Wow.
His diet was really 200 kilogram sugar cane per day. This was a huge amount of sugar to give an animal. Not only this, but the situation with his nail getting worse. He have cracks in his nails, and this is really risky for an elephant.
Right.
And if infection, he might pass away like his partner, Sahili.
Yes,
so his condition was not really well.
Yes.
But now I think after the hard work in the last 4 weeks from the team and myself, I was lucky that found a big fan of my voice, which really I tried to calm him because I was bored. I have to keep security for the team. So I take him behind to the enclosure, and I was standing 3 hours in the sun with him, feeding him. And I start to sing Frank Sinatra, and he started to hear me, and I realized he is interesting, maybe about Frank Sinatra music or about me, I don't know. But this was the first channel in communication between Kavan and myself, which is developed in the last months.
So does Kavan favorite Frank Sinatra song that you sing?
Yes, it's the one which I really sing day and night for him. I do it my way. Yes.
Well, that's wonderful, really. And so true, really fitting in many ways to be doing things my way. So, Dr. Khan, what causes elephants to become aggressive? Does it vary from elephant to elephant like it does with people, or are there sort of general reasons why elephants do become aggressive?
As I said in the beginning, they have a lot of requirements. And obviously, we can't meet those requirements in zoos. So it depends what's causing the stress. Is it the lack of social contact? Is this the behavior of the keeper that influences, the responses of an animal as well? And plus, with males, they go through that high testosterone phase when they go through must and they are, producing those chemicals. And they, during that time as well, they are a bit aggressive. And how you manage them, if you're going to chain an elephant, which is a common practice. So it's not just Pakistan, it's globally, they would, restrain the animal during that time. So that may cause stress. So a lack of social contact is, I would say, the key thing. And in zoos, keepers are key factors, how they handle their elephants. And this is one species which I think humans have tried to domesticate. But even now, I would say we have failed to domesticate elephants. They are still wild, even if, So,
to their credit, they are still wild. I respect that.
Yes,
and clearly,
absolutely.
like Dr. Khalil is saying that he's only been hanging out with Kavan for a month, for 4 weeks, and he's singing him songs, and Kavan likes it, and he's responding.
So it's your behavior, that reflects on the animal's behavior as well.
Quite
so
right.
this is so true. And the thing is that if you look at or it's not just Kavan, so other elephants in, like for example, Karachi Zoo, other animals as well, they have this barren enclosure with no enrichment, no toys. Boredom is a leading cause of aggression in animals as well.
Goodness, and I think that's something that people don't consider. We're going to take a very quick break and come back to this fascinating conversation. Stay with us. Hi, welcome back to the coffee table. I'm talking to Dr. Uzma Khan and Dr. Amir Khalil about elephants, but I also at this juncture want to ask Dr. Khalil about his various amazing exploits in rescuing animals from war zones around the world, because it's awfully exciting and it's best to hear it straight from the lion's mouth, as it were. Dr. Khalil, can you tell us a little bit about your work with rescuing animals from war zones? Because I think that particularly for our audiences, when we talk about politics, we talk about violence and war zones. I think that animals don't really figure very high in the hierarchy of importance, because obviously people think about humans before they think about animals. But in cities like Aleppo, for example, there was a zoo and it had a lot of really precious and beautiful animals who were abandoned during the bombing. And then Paws and your team has gone into these areas to rescue lions and bears and tigers. And so tell us more about that work.
During any conflict and war zones, when people are not able to communicate with each other, and when they speak only with weapons, with language of weapons. Human can have the luxury to escape, to be refugee, to be evacuated. Animals who are kept captive in the zoo cannot escape, don't have this luxury to escape. And what we are able to do in coordination with the stakeholders is to go to these war zones and to evacuate the animal. Because we speak about humanity. It's no matter who comes first. Humans are important, but also humanity is also important. And I think what we are able to do to offer a chance for this animal, which sometimes kept over 50 days, 40 days, no food, no water, no animal keepers, and the majority of the animal die. And what we are able to do when we have really the good coordination to enter, to evacuate them at this animal, and to bring them to a species appropriate place. It is not safe, but the team is well trained. We are not cowboys. We need to make really a proper plan for this. And sometimes the roads are not the best in conflict zones. So really we have to make plan A, B, and C.
Yes.
It's difficult missions, but we love to do it. We love to show humanity that kindness is one word. A kind person should be kind to human and to animal. We should not let the animal also alone because we take responsibility for them.
No, absolutely. That's crucial. That's a crucial sort of reminder of humanity. And no, yeah, I'm just thinking about it for a minute. Now, Dr. Khalil, you've also helped set up elephant sanctuaries in Myanmar. So what exactly do elephants now, sort of to kind of come back to elephants, what kind of infrastructure do elephants require to be happy and healthy? Like, what does the average kind of elephant sanctuary look like?
What we have in Myanmar, as example, we have a problem with several thousand of elephants, over 5,000 elephants there.
Oh.
They are working elephant in the jungle. This elephant become to be jobless. They are, because the legislation change, no export of the wood or the timber. So the majority of this elephant come to be jobless, which means where to put this animal. Our project is based on take a land, and we bring this family. Elephants are social animals. So to build a group of elephant, 5 to 7 elephant, to build a family with matriarch, the leader, the female elephant, and sure sub-adult and the orphan or the young. And the idea is to bring them back to the wild. We done this before in Zimbabwe with African elephant, and in Myanmar there is success with such project to bring the animal back to be elephant again. I will say retire the elephant. The elephant work all their life, so sometimes there is a time also they need to be retired and to work to be an elephant and not as employee.
Quite right. Just to enjoy old age, comfortably in the jungles. No, I think that's really important. So, Dr. Khalil, I understand that Kavan is headed to Cambodia to an elephant sanctuary in Cambodia. So, what can he look forward to there? Because I know that elephants like to be in jungles, but that's about all I know.
So, Kavan, like similar Asian elephant, I think now it is the time after all this year to be an elephant again. The intention is to bring him to a sanctuary in Cambodia. It's Cambodia Wildlife Sanctuary. This sanctuary is 25,000 acres, so it's a huge area where also other Asian elephants, the same species like him. Kavan, according to international regulation, by his arrival, he needs a solid and safe construction to be there. To adapt at first, sure, the climate, the weather, I will say the food, everything, but the long-term plan is to rehabilitate Kavan with other elephant, that he roam later with other elephant which will fit to realize that really he's an elephant. And as Dr. Khan said, like they have really special requirement which sure he will have there in Cambodia.
So far, your work with Kavan, what challenges do you sort of foresee with him specifically? Because from what I understand, he spent most of his life in a zoo and his partner died many years ago. So do you think that he will be able to understand that he now is part of a hierarchy of elephants?
I really am very happy to have this opportunity. First time in my life, in 30 years in my career, I see a crying elephant. So I saw really a tears of an elephant.
What?
This made me touched very much to this elephant, and especially in my job, I learned not to have any bond to animals because I moved from one location to the other.
Yes.
And I stuck in Pakistan, in your country, so to love Pakistan and to love Kavan. So Kavan definitely is a hard work, it's a long way. My personal impression is that Kavan really have this aggression and the anger because no one give him the attention he need or the species requirements he need, and he was frustrated. And I think just the small attention and the love, Kavan start to build the trust. And this is personal, it is not expert opinion, but I want to see as a human being. I think Kavan started to forgive us as a human, and he started to hear to us again. And to be calm, his behavior become to be calm. He spent more time in the swimming pool to play with a tree trunk. But he's still wild animal. He's not a pet animal or stick animal. He is a wild animal and very strong. So I think this is the chance we have to use to bring him more to the direction and to give him the opportunity to be an elephant again.
Yeah. Yeah, and I've seen video playing hide and seek with him, and it's clear that there is potential there, that he is responding. And I think that that's where I'm now thinking about keepers and how maybe a lot of the times, well, I'm particularly in this case, yes, keepers, very much so, but generally as well, do you feel like zoos and sanctuaries in Pakistan, we need to kind of change the way we think about animals, and maybe like trainings for keepers to be able to kind of understand animals in a more empathetic way?
Certainly. I think this is a very weak area. We have not built the capacity of these keepers. They, they would join as a Mali, and then they will make their way up to become a zookeeper.
Right.
And so, there's no training. The only thing they will learn is on-job dealing with animals, and however they want to learn it, they learn it. To move an animal to another place, which is certainly better, but to improve our own zoos is a more challenging task.
Yeah.
And I would rather go the challenging way and say, let's build our institutions, let's invest in our people. We have this expert, Dr. Amir is here, and I wish we could have vets like him in Pakistan working for our zoos. We need that compassion. Working with animals comes from your heart, so this needs to be cultivated as well. We need to guide them. We need to tell these keepers that they go through all these emotions that you also go through. So Islamabad Zoo has a huge potential, I would say. We need to bring it up to those standards, and we need to invest in our people so that they improve, because zoos can play an extensive role in awareness and conservation, but it's just building them to be of that level of institutions.
And I think it also serves a kind of dual purpose, in the sense that Pakistan, the animal kind of diversity in Pakistan, it's for lack of another word, it's quite diverse. We have a huge range of really, again, layperson, I'm going to say interesting animals, but animals that are really rare also, and animals that need specific kinds of care and protections. But I think this also sort of leads me to the question of what's the difference between a zoo and an animal sanctuary?
So if you look at this Kavan's case, he's going to go to a managed area, which they are calling as sanctuary.
Yes.
It's a managed area. And where, retired elephants or rescued elephants, there are bears, they are there, okay? But in Pakistan's legal terms, sanctuary is an in situ area, like a wild area, which has been notified as a sanctuary because of the value of animals that are there, natural resources, migratory birds. So, it's like a category of a protected area.
Okay.
So it depends how you're using. So in Cambodia, it's like a different term, but in Pakistani law, it's a protected area. It's a category of a protected area.
So in those protected areas, then nobody's interfering with what's happening inside the area. They're just making sure that the perimeters are secure, as it were.
On paper, yes. What you're saying, yes.
Oh dear, mystery.
Let's not go there.
The plot thickens. We're going to take a very quick break and come back to this wonderful conversation. Stay with us. Hi, welcome back to the coffee table and a wonderful elephantine conversation with Dr. Amir Khalil and Dr. Uzma Khan. Dr. Khalil, I don't know if this is a controversial thing to ask you, but what is your opinion about zoos, about having zoos? Like, what are the merits of having a zoo at all?
So the zoo is very old thing. The first zoo was 3,500 years ago in Egypt. It was by Nefertiti. It was a queen from the pharaoh. This was the first zoo we know about in the world. In general, I am not as a person against zoo, but minimum animals should have the species requirement what they have in the nature. The reason we transfer our support, we have over 14 sanctuary worldwide for wild animal. where the animal have enough space, where he can practice his species requirement, where he can hide, he can sleep, he can eat. And with the human, they become to be as a visitor, like in a zoo, in a small corridors, but the animal have space. In our sanctuary, we have, if we keep a lion retired, we give him about 10,000 square meter. Any additional lion, we give 5,000 square meters. So they have a huge space. They need a lot of care, enrichment. And it should serve this type of places to raise the awareness. The children deserve to see the animal in their place, how they really live in the nature. Imagine we have here the American, British ambassador, Austrian ambassador. Everyone have a nice residence. But if I have the ambassador from the jungle, he deserves to have also his nice residence. Enough space, enough care, the medical, and as Dr. Khan said, the key factor is the staff who should be qualified to care for this animal. And we hope Kavan will open the door that many persons should be trained here. And also I'm very proud to have two of my colleagues are from Pakistan. They are the best in Jordan. We have a big sanctuary in Jordan, and the best person who are caring for the wild animals in Jordan, in Al Ma'wa, are Pakistani colleagues, and you have a Pakistani vet. So really, there is very good qualified Pakistani colleagues. I met them abroad. They are working also in Paws, together with Princess Alia Foundation.
Yes.
And I think here, as your guest said, we should invest so much and develop in the, I would say, human resources and the staff that are able to help the animals and to give the good picture and to raise the awareness for the public, especially for the future, for the children.
Quite right. I think that the children are important here because I think that is one place where unarguably zoos are the only place where you can take a child and show them the sort of some slice of how diverse, the creatural life can be.
Absolutely.
And it can be very, if done properly and responsibly, it can be quite inspiring for kids and young people.
I also, as Dr. Khalil said, I think zoos have a lot of potential. I think they have a huge objective. They can give public education, that exposure, and that wow factor. I love it about zoos, and I fully support zoos. Now coming to Kavan, if you look at his enclosure size, so a lot of people say, oh, it's very small, very small. I got the maps and I figured it out, calculated. It's about 1,600 square meters.
Right.
Now, if you look at the management guidelines from British and Irish Zoo Association, it says 2,000 square meter. So,
there's not a huge difference.
There's not a huge difference. But the thing is that our enclosure is barren. If you look at Lahore Zoo, Susie's enclosure, that's not bad-sized enclosure. It's just that it's barren. So, you need to provide that stimulation. It's not the quantity, it's the quality. So, the quality is really bad. And plus, Kavan was just tied to chains in a corner.
So it didn't matter how big his enclosure was, if he was chained and he couldn't walk around, and now he's become so fat and his feet are in a dreadful state.
Absolutely.
Sort of, he had space, but it was just a horribly underutilized
Absolutely. So it comes down to the management. And, enrichment is something which needs to be integrated into our management system of zoos. It's not something that you do on and off. We did it, I demonstrated it at Islamabad Zoo staff as well, but the thing is that it's just one-off thing. I was there for 2 days, I was doing it, but then I'm back in Lahore, nobody's following it. So it has to be a regular thing, and zoos have a huge potential. And there's a lot of research that gone into it. And what people like is activity. That's why they like babies and they like cubs. And
or like safaris where you can drive through spaces and
there's something, a lion would follow the car. Or I was just in Lahore Zoo Safari yesterday, and we drove into the enclosure in their coach. And there were 3 lions, and they were coming after the coaster. It was wonderful, something was happening. Wonderful experience. So, it's amazing to be there, to witness all of this. If you provide that opportunity, and animals are amazing. They can,
that's
yeah.
true. But then coming back to, for example, the elephants in Sindh, if they're not indigenous to this part of the world, and we don't naturally have Asian elephants in this part in Pakistan, so should we not have them?
Well, there is a global consensus on elephants. That no more elephants in zoos if you can't meet their complex set of requirements.
Yes.
So that's a consensus. So if we take out elephants and then we talk about other animals, now you need to have a combination. So I would say you have a few animals that are megafauna, like lions are not from Pakistan. They used to be. But now we have African lions in captivity. So you need to have them so that people come to the zoo, and you also...
And if you're wanting that educational aspect.
Educational aspect and fundraising aspect, you need to run a zoo as well. And then because Pakistan is very diverse with ungulates, like sheep and deer and
markhors and ibexes
Exactly.
and black bucks and that sort of thing.
Yes, and you can't have them in Lahore because of the climatic conditions. Now, you need to have that combination of your indigenous wildlife and your exotic megafauna that would attract public as well, because you need to run the institution as well.
So you need a star.
Yes, you need that combination. So I agree with you. With some species, you should absolutely not have them, like elephants. And then you need to think what you can manage, what your capacities are, what your space, available space is. You need to think about all of this before you think of your collection plan. Now, the problem is, if you ask Islamabad Zoo or Lahore Zoo, what is your collection plan? They would just look at you. What are you talking about?
Oh dear. And I feel like on one level, like the Islamabad Wildlife Authority showed great initiative in asking Paws to sort of come in and help them out. And clearly Paws has been doing a wonderful job with Kavan. So Dr. Khalil, what are sort of now the next steps for our elephant friend?
We have a lot of things to do still here. So the first thing, we plan to cooperate and to assist in relocation of the wolves and the rabbits and the bears.
Because there are other animals, yes.
Yes, and the monkeys. Regarding Kavan, we order a special container or a training container, we say, which is huge and heavy, where the elephants go on daily basis to have the trust. And should go for some weeks, this type of training. Because at the day of the transport, we have to close the container. We should not sedate the elephant or make anesthesia for him for the transport. Move this elephant to the airport with a special logistic, a huge logistic work and plan. And after this, we need a huge aeroplane. Any normal aeroplane will not suit for Kavan.
Yes,
so
that's
the
true.
door of this aeroplane should be very high. So the crate is 3.60 meters high. Such aeroplanes is the biggest on Earth, which are like Antonov, 22 or other. So a huge aeroplane.
Wow. He is going to fly like royalty to Cambodia.
Yes. And sure that it must be a team which are really specialized, especially for emergency elephant. And this will be doctors and the logistic, which will join Kavan and secure his safety during this transport. So really, it is, a lot of work is waiting, a lot of precise work, monitoring also, a lot of administrative work and approval. But we've done the first steps during the medical examination. So the first thing, we give an ID number for Kavan, so we give him a microchip where everyone check Kavan.
So that's how when he goes to Cambodia and he is introduced to his new family, the microchip is what will help us keep track of him and how he's doing there.
Not only this, we can track him in the airport. In other countries that everyone will know this is Kavan number, it's registered worldwide. This type of ID is like his passport. But to track Kavan in the wild, we put special collar on his neck. And this you can follow by GPS. So this way you can follow Kavan in the wild or in the nature, where he is, his location, his roaming way, and you can also get this even by telephone, by SMS.
Oh, so how exciting.
Yeah, but this is only for 2 years. After 2 years, we have to change this type of colors. Yeah.
Oh, goodness. So is there a precedent like Kawan's in the sense that he's a mature male elephant, and I think that from what Dr. Khalil has been telling me, mature grown-up adult male elephants are quite also sort of set in their ways. So is there a sort of precedent where other male elephants have been able to adjust in the wild comfortably and safely? Or is this also kind of like, a new frontier for us?
On the elephant and the previous life or the history of the elephant. But my personal experience with the relocation of 9 elephants to Wengi National Park, one of this elephant was a female elephant. She was pregnant. And I was so glad to see that she make her baby or brought her baby in the wild. So elephant can adjust, the really elephant. They have incredible instinct, memory, but they learn from their moms. They never forget in the beginning of their life. But on the other hand, it's different from elephant to other. Right. My personal impression is that Kawan will fit very well with other Asian elephants.
Excellent. I'm so pleased that, our little boy is, promising. He's a good student. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Khan and Dr. Khalil, for joining us today on the show. This is such a fascinating and wonderful conversation. I'm sure that all of you audience members have enjoyed it just as much as I have. If you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe. You can follow the World Wildlife Fund and for Paws on social media to sort of, keep yourself updated about Kawan's adventures. And thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time on the coffee table. Bye now.